Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast chat. And today, I'm going to cover a controversial statement made by Squat U. And that statement was something to the effect of, hey, what's more impressive? Hey, 650 squat with a little bit of hip shift and some knee cave versus a 500 squat with perfect form. It's like, well, they're both impressive, but the 500 squat is more so. And this actually meets the stereotype of everything I've heard. And again, I hate to be someone to go off secondhand information when talking about someone else, because again, people hear a lot of things about me that then they find out are not actually true. I've had that happen. And I've actually had other coaches get in conversations with me through other circles of coaches like, oh, I heard all this bad stuff about you. Then they kind of get to know me, or they look at what I do and they realize it's actually not reality. But I know from several good coaches that I know, conversations, who actually make fun of Squat U, who coach elite lifters. So put that in perspective. And what they've essentially described him to me as is just a guy playing physical therapist, masquerading as a strength coach, who can't squat heavyweight himself, and basically caters to largely a crowd of people who would rather obsess over form than actually get stronger. But he takes it to the point of where it's no longer practical, is what they've said. That it's not practical anymore with the way that he takes it. He would have people basically never progress. Someone who doesn't have perfect symmetry in their structure and muscle balance should never progress on a squat under him, because his standards would be unobtainable for them. So they would just squat with an empty bar the rest of their life. That's how it's basically been described. And that could be, he might not be that extreme. However, the statement itself is asinine. I have to question anyone making a statement like that, how much they've actually been around really strong lifters. Because the idea is ludicrous, and here's why. And we'll jump into why these things happen in form. But the biggest problem is that, no, the 500 squatter is not even remotely as impressive or as strong. Okay? People are not getting injured because of some minor hip shift. This is not a problem. And in fact, your compensation might be what's required for you to maintain muscle balances due to asymmetry in your structure, which the vast majority of humans have. No one has perfect structural symmetry. But if you take two lifters like that, you take someone who can hit his textbook perfect form, which doesn't exist, textbook perfect form for 500, and that's the heaviest weight they have done. But they've got the form perfect. They've never done anything, and they haven't built the muscle to get much stronger than that. But they can do the 500 with perfect form. Well, that means that they're at submaximal weight. Okay. Number one, it's not their max. Number two, it's probably not them taking a set to one rep in reserve either. Because you will not maintain that perfect form if you do that. If you do your 5 rep max for 5 reps, all those problems are going to come out on the 4th and 5th rep anyways, even if you have beautiful form the first 3. So what's going to happen? That person's got 500 on the bar and they can do that. Put 550 on the bar and see what happens. Oh, then all of a sudden their knee's going to cave. Then all of a sudden you're going to see that hip shift. It's going to look the same thing that he just described with the 650, but with 100 pounds less weight. They are weaker and less impressive than the other guy. Now, I'm not going to get into weight classes here. People say, but what if they win? Okay, weight classes are their own topic. Weight classes are basically height classes in disguise. We've discussed this in vast detail. I do not want to rehash that here. We're talking just in terms of the absolute weight at this point. The other guy can out-squat him by at least 100 pounds is what that tells me. Now, he's either going to have his form start degrading and to compensate with compensatory strength when he gets to 550, or he's going to get stapled to the safeties. He's going to go straight down because it's just too damn heavy for him. Okay? How is this any more impressive? The statement itself is ignorant regarding what happens under heavy load. It's ignorant regarding what happens under heavy load. we compensate. And a lot of the reasons we develop this compensatory strength is because number one, we have weak links. Okay? Your weakest link, when we start getting really, really heavy on a squat, whether it's a max, close to a max, we start getting above 90%, right? That's why I specifically chose the 550 versus his 500. Start getting above 90%. Our weakest links cause us to shift certain ways. We see movement break down due to our weakest link and us needing to compensate for it with compensatory strength. You cannot fix that with form. Practicing form does not fix that. The only way to fix that is to hypertrophy the weakest links with supplemental work. Okay? You don't fix that with practicing technique. It will not fix it. Number two, humans do not have symmetry. Most of you may not know this, but if you were to go have everything measured, you're probably going to find that you have one arm longer than the other. You have one leg that's longer than the other. Okay, that's normal. Your hip sockets are going to be different on each side. And in some extreme cases, a very noticeable difference in the hip angle of your actual hip socket. So what does that mean? Well, that means when we start getting heavy or we get fatigued, there's going to be some asymmetry in our movement pattern. And people say, well, it's reinforcing it if you push that. Well, so what? It's giving you the muscle balance you need to push the weight up into hypertrophy correctly for your structure. Yes, you may have one quad that is 2% stronger than the other. You may have one hamstring that's 2% stronger than the other. That's the way that it develops because of your structural asymmetry. And the question I would ask is, are you trying to bodybuild to where you need perfect symmetry? Or are you trying to get stronger and be more athletic? In which case the minor imbalances are there due to your structural differences to keep you balanced in terms of your ability to move a weight or generate force. Okay, this idea doesn't work, and this whole idea of perfect form. Yeah, we should have pretty good form. We should work on having better form as a general rule. I have no issue with that. It's the idea that a textbook, quote unquote, perfect form, which may only be perfect for one body structure, not another. Okay, is somehow better. Or that it's not safe to load and progress, or it's not safe to set a world record because you don't have that. Well, I'm sorry, there's plenty of world record holding lifters who are not hurt, who are breaking records, who have these quote unquote problems. This is bullshittery. It's exactly what it is. This is bullshittery to justify keeping people weak. This is people who want to talk to people who cannot get strong. They're too lazy to get strong. Maybe they don't have the genetics to be the strongest guy in the world, but generally it's a lack of work ethic, lack of ability to apply themselves or follow proper programming. Is to cater to people like that. It's exactly what it is, to cater to the mediocre instead of telling them to do better. Then they can justify staying weak because, well, I'm perfecting my form for the next year, right? To justify them staying weak. And it's a bad mindset. This is the mindset of mediocrity. No, your form may not be perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect to break records or to get brutally strong for your sport or to be brutally strong just because you want to be. It's not minor form degrading that causes injuries, by the way. Not my opinion, that's the expert opinion in the fields. A minor breakdown in form is not why we get hurt. Overuse injuries are the number one cause, or horrifically bad form. Not minor hip shift or some knee cave. Okay? Those are compensatory strength when the weight gets heavy. And they're not fixed just by working technique. Because as soon as the weight gets heavy again, that's going to come right back out. And if the weight never gets heavy, you're never improving. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.